I got it. This is welcome to the Flipping and Wholesaling in New York show. I'm Michael Pinter, and this is by request. We're going to talk today. Well, first of all, the show is about teaching you how to start flipping and wholesaling in New York, specifically in New York, because it's very different here. And if you've already started, how to grow a business. Today, the request is talking about cold calling in New York and how it's different in New York. Now, the truth is, cold calling isn't that different in New York. It's basically the same thing. Scripts are the same. I have a script. If anybody wants a script, I'll be happy to share it with you. Maybe I'll share it in the notes anyway. But in New York, it's not that different. There's a little bit, I would say, more suspicion from prospects in New York. When you call them, they don't want to talk to you. They have their guard up more in New York. People are much more open in the South and probably in the West also. I don't cold call anymore. I used to when I started. I have people cold call for me, but I listen to their calls and I go over it. And the basic gist of a cold call is to find out if someone's interested in selling. That's it. You have a broad prospect list or you have a niche list, whatever list you have. You're calling them to see if they're interested in selling their house. That's the only thing you want from them. If they are, then you want to go through a really 4-step process of qualifying them. So let's be honest. Most people you're going to ask if they want to sell their house are going to tell you no, right? There's really only 5 or 6 things they can tell you. And a lot of this is from Brent Daniels. I talk to people. He's great. Basically, they can tell you yes, in which case you have to really talk to them. Maybe, in which case you might really have to talk to them or call them back. No, which is most people are going to tell you is no. They can say, who are you? Where'd you get my number? Or what's your offer? That's really the 6 things they can say to you. And what you want to do is if they say yes, that they're interested, is you want to first, I changed my script recently, but you want to then ask them about time, right? Ideally, when would you want to sell, right? And there's a huge range. The best thing they could say is immediately, yesterday, ASAP, and the worst thing they could say is I'm in no rush, you called me. Then you want to ask them a reason. Why are you looking to sell, right? And the best thing they could say is some kind of urgency. I'm being relocated. I got to get out of here. I'm in foreclosure and I have equity. And if I don't sell it in 2 weeks, the bank's going to take it. That's like the best, right? Or my son's in jail. I need money to bail him out. Something crazy like that. And the worst thing they could say again is no reason. You called me. So if somebody really answers the latter, like they're not interested on the last 2, you probably want to end the call at that point, right? You don't want to waste time. I used to ask them about condition first. And they talked to me for 10 minutes and then I find out they weren't interested in selling. So if they have no interest, what you really want to say to them is, I'm an investor. I got to make money on a property. It sounds to me like you weren't even interested. Or I say, were you even interested in selling before I called you or before I reached out to you? If they say no, you probably should just end the call and say, listen, I'm an investor. I have to make money. It sounds like this is something that you're not going to sell at a discount. And you want to politely end the call. But sometimes when you say that, then you find out what the real motivation is. You say, listen, it sounds like you're not that interested. And then they go, wait a second. I do have to sell, and this is why. So the best thing to do is push back. Always push back. Don't be that eager buyer. Oh, I can close cash in 15 minutes. You want to be a reluctant buyer, right? And you want to push them away, and then you'll find out if there's really motivation. So if there is any motivation, they say, I really have to sell quickly, or they say, I have a serious reason, then you want to get into condition of the house, right? You want to talk to them. Tell me a little bit about the house is what I say. Sometimes they'll tell you everything about the house that has nothing to do with condition. My grandfather built it with his hands. I will be with the first house in the neighborhood. You'll hear those things. But sometimes they'll tell you what's going on. You want to find out about bedrooms and bathrooms. And if they talk to you about the house for a long time, you never want to stop them, but you might want to say to them, what's the general condition on the inside? And then you want to see if you can get a price from them. That's really important. All right, I have a multi-step process that gets price, I'd say 70 to 80% of the time. So you want to get price if you can. You want to get condition because that's going to really get an idea whether this is worth going on an appointment or not. So if you're starting out and you're brand new, you probably want to go on every appointment, even if somebody's not motivated, because you want to get over your fear of talking to sellers. You want to get over your fears of what's going to happen on an appointment, right? You want to see how that's going to be. I don't go on appointments, obviously, where no one's interested, where there's no real motivation, but you may want to just to get it out of the way. You want to get rid of those fears and get over that hump. So after you get into that and you see that there is some kind of motivation, so again, there's 4 pillars of motivation. This is from Brent Daniels. There's time, price, condition, and reason. And if they have any kind of motivation in any of those, you want to schedule an appointment. You want to see them. You want to talk to them. We're not getting into what happens on the appointment. But the cold call is really there initially to go through tons of prospects and just see if they're interested in hearing an offer on the house. If they are, then you want to go through the other 4 steps. If there is any motivation, then you want to schedule an appointment. That is the whole point of the cold call, right? People ask me all the time, how do I cold call foreclosure lists? How do I cold call probate lists? You do not want to cold call differently. You do not want to talk about the reason that you are calling them or why they're on your list. That is a huge mistake. Let's be honest. A lot of the lists are not accurate. Also, people feel very invaded and violated if you start talking to them about the fact that they're in financial trouble or talking about the fact that somebody just died. You never want to get into that. You just want to know if they want to sell. That's it. I'm a buyer. I'm looking to buy in that area. Is it available? That's the only way you want to approach it. And then if they express any interest in it, right? Sometimes it's a maybe. Sometimes it's like, my tenant's leaving in 3 months. I might be thinking about it then. So then you have a question of whether you want to qualify them at that point or whether you want to call them back and qualify them later. That's up to you. But the yeses have to be qualified and see if they're worth going on an appointment. But the cold calling in New York is not any really different than other parts of the country. Where it gets completely different in New York is when the seller actually says yes. After you go on the appointment, you offer the money and the seller says yes. Then everything changes because the seller's attorney gets involved, because standard contracts in New York have no assignment clause, because there's no inspection contingencies in New York. Everything changes in New York. But before that, on the cold calling stage in the marketing, I'd say it's the same as every other state. So again, the important things to remember when you're cold calling are your goal is just to find out if they want to hear an offer. Then you want to take it one step further and see if their time, reason, price, and condition are there. So obviously the best thing I could say about condition is this is a knockdown, it's a complete gut job. That's the greatest thing they could say. And the worst thing I could say is I just renovated a year ago. And for price, obviously it depends on the price, but if they tell you a crazy price that's $100,000 more than retail, you may or may not decide this is something you want to go on. Now, I take listings, so even if somebody wants full retail, I'll go on the appointment. I'll ask them. Someone says, "Hey, I want they say I want $500,000 for the house. That's what house they're going for." And I look and that's right. I'll say to them, "Do you have somebody to list it with? If you list it." Now, if they say, "Yeah, my cousin's an agent, my friend's an agent, my mother's an agent," I may not even go on the appointment. If they say, "No, I don't have anybody to list it with," then I'll go on the appointment and try and pitch them on a listing. But that's me. If you're not licensed and you don't want to take listings, then that's not you. I wouldn't bother with that. The idea that you can refer it out to an agent, I think, is not a great idea personally. Not here, anyway. So that is how cold calling works in New York. Someone asked, this is by request. But basically, I don't do cold, the request really was, can I listen to me cold call? I guess I could, but I don't really spend time cold calling. I pay people in the Philippines to do it for me. And right now it's really the only marketing I'm doing. I'm about to do a lot more marketing. I'm getting a new data list. But cold calling in New York is pretty much the same as everywhere else. Will there be more people who tell you go to F yourself? For sure. Will there be more people who don't trust you? For sure. But basically what you say is going to be exactly the same in New York as it is anywhere else. So if you like these videos, please click like. Go to howtoflipnewyork.com to find the different ways I can help you. If you're watching on Facebook, the 7 ways I can help you are upstairs. If you're watching on YouTube, they'll be below. If you haven't subscribed on YouTube, please subscribe. And I answer all comments, I think, within 24 hours. If you have any requests for any topic you want me to cover, I'm happy to cover it. This one was by request, and I take requests all the time. So thank you for watching, and I really appreciate it. And comment if you have any comments below. My phone number is below. If you have any questions and you don't want to leave a comment, you can call me in my office, leave me a message, and I'll get back to you. Thank you very much for watching.